Welcome back to Division I Rejects, episode 115. I'm your host, Kobe Manzo. We're joined tonight by a pretty special guest. He graduated from Upper Iowa over there in the great state of Iowa. Gone on to play in the pros. He was drafted by the Seattle Sea Dragons and now plays defensive line for the St. Louis Battlehawks. That's Erik Hansen. He'll be joining us here in a couple minutes, fellas. He has the all-time sack record over there in program history for the Peacocks. Pete the Peacock and company over there also led the NSIC in his senior year in tackles for loss. Dude was a dog over there. Excited about that one. Otherwise, though, we've got some good pieces small college football-wise. This is July 31st as we're recording this camp, coming closer and closer for all of these small college football teams. Notable D2 players in the NFL. We've got a full list from Wayne Cavati that is pretty in-depth. So we're going to take a look at how many guys from each position, some notable alums of this last year, guys who made the Pro Bowl out of some smaller schools. We've got the D3Football.com preseason rankings, how that compares to the rankings released by the College Football Network. That's made quite the stir up on the old Twitter and social medias today. The GLIAC Preseason Rankings, that media day was today. We watched that one, preseason poll, and some other conversation about Division II's premier conference. And finally, this D2 school shutting down all athletic programs. Actually, the whole damn school is done, boys. It's just, they announced it today.
I didn't even heard that. Not disrespectful. I just never heard of them.
Alderson Broaddus. West Virginia.
Beats me, bro.
Well, in a couple of years, no one's going to know anything about it because that school is getting shut down. We're going to talk about that later. A lot of guys entering the transfer portal, T's and P's to all the kids trying to find new homes. But finally, we got Football Guy of the Week. Some good selections. Kate, did you get yours in there?
I sent it to you on Twitter, yeah.
What did you got to put it? Can you put it in the doc?
I don't have the doc, remember?
Dumbass. But otherwise, you can listen.
And my phone's plugged in upstairs, so
you can watch this episode on YouTube. Fast forward to any of those parts using the timestamps down below, the little red chopped up chapters in the video. Drag along, do it. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, timestamps are also on there. So fast forward to any part of the episode you want to listen to, and then get the hell out of here. But follow us on Twitter, boys. Follow us on Instagram. We're doing a T-shirt giveaway at 3,000 on Twitter, so we're about 400 and some away from that.
Should one on Instagram, one on Twitter too.
Maybe we will. Yeah. Do you buy the T-shirts?
No, just
okay.
An idea.
That's what I thought. Okay.
We don't have to.
Kobe's a funny guy tonight.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe on the old YouTube.
Might as well mute my mic.
And we'll rip this thing, get this going, head over to the conversation first of all with Erik. Joining the show tonight, a D2 alum who's made his way onto a professional roster. He made the D2 Football's Elite 100 list in his time at Upper Iowa, where he was a two-time first-team All-NSIC selection. He holds the record for most sacks in program history for the Peacocks, now playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Erik Hansen. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be on the show.
Glad to have you, dude. You go from playing for arguably one of the best mascots in Division II to the team with probably the best uniforms in the XFL. Pretty good couple of choices there.
Yeah, I like it. Both our mascots are pretty cool, I think. Going from a peacock to a battlehawk, kind of in the same realm. So, I was happy to keep the blue and keep a similar mascot too. So,
I got you, man. Now, before we talk about your team in St. Louis, we'll kind of jump around timeline-wise as far as your football journey goes. But let's talk after you graduated. You travel down to Georgia, put yourself in front of as many eyes as possible, do the pro day there. You go to northern Iowa, do the same thing. What were the thoughts, the vibes like after those two events? Where did you and your people kind of think you were at?
Yeah, so I thought I had a really good pro day. I did my pro day training down in Georgia with Chip Smith and Chuck Smith. Chuck Smith's actually the outside linebackers coach for the Baltimore Ravens now. So I had some good coaching down there, learned a lot, learned how to run a 40, all that. Did my pro day in Northern Iowa, thought I did well. Actually had some of the scouts had me work out as fullback. After I ran my 40, I had the Giants come up to me, the Saints and the Colts, and they all said, "Hey, we want to take a look at you at fullback." So I thought there was a few avenues that I could possibly, take to get to the NFL. Ran a good time, thought there was interest. My agent said there was interest. So thought things were going pretty good. So I thought I did well in my pro day. I guess coming from a D2, being a little bit undersized, hurt me in the NFL process a little bit. Basically what the scouts were telling me is my height and my competition weren't exactly what they wanted to see. So they actually, the Saints scout mentioned to me, he was like, hey, if you play in one of these kind of feeder leagues, we scout that. So he's like, you do well in one of these, we'll be watching. So
I love that.
I
Yeah,
got
and
my
that's probably something
opportunity.
that wasn't on your radar probably right away. Now, you said, like, coaching up how to run a 40 and stuff. Do they just take you, like you said, you had great coaching. Do they take you, like, totally ground up on, like, some military style, like, break you all the way down to build you back up the way we want you to see you? Because obviously you knew how to run a 40, but you go there and that just change your mind, all these little different pieces. They had little habits maybe they had to change.
Yeah, I would say there was a lot of components to the 40 that I didn't realize. Um, you just think run as fast as you can, 40 yards, but there's a lot that goes into it I didn't realize. So it was a little eye opening in that regard. But it was an interesting 3 months of my life dedicated to learn how to run. But yeah, basically like you said, from the ground up. Um, you know, doing such small details with these drills that you just don't really realize goes into
Yeah.
running a 3-cone, running a 40, running a 5-10-5. You just don't realize how much time and effort really it takes to run good time.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I want to talk about that because that limbo time in between when you graduate and when you finally, potentially get a chance, which at the time, you might not even know if that's coming down the road or not. This could be all for nothing. Like, there's no guarantees. What is that limbo time like? What does your day look like? Because obviously, you're training 100% of the time for football, but that just has to be such a weird dynamic because you don't know what exactly you're training for yet, I guess is kind of the best way to say it.
That's exactly right too. And that time, you just got to have faith and trust your ability. But I mean, you're right. I've seen guys work super, super hard, paying their whole way through pro day training, no agent, putting a lot of money on the line to try to get at least a shot. And then, unfortunately, sometimes it's all for nothing for some of these guys. And that it's a sad reality of pro sports. I mean, it's cutthroat. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that want to do this, all clawing tooth and nail to try to take your job or get a job. So, I mean, for some people, it's just you don't ever get an opportunity. There's just too many people.
Yeah.
So I've seen it. I know people bust their ass and never get the opportunity, but I was fortunate. It wasn't with the NFL right away, but I did get an opportunity. And the unknown is you just got to have faith. But it is a harsh reality of the sport is that does creep in the back of your mind when you're doing all this work. You're like, dang, I really hope this isn't for nothing when you're running, 40 on 40 and working out for 4 to 5 to 6 hours a day. It's like, dang, I hope this isn't all for nothing. But you just got to have faith in your ability and know that somebody will take notice.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, 100%. And just like any professional sporting business, the NFL, I think, is just the pinnacle of all of that. And you found that out, obviously, because you go through the NFL draft and that free agency period, and you end up unsigned, which I'm sure was maybe not the biggest surprise in the world, but something that, you always are holding out hope that potentially you get an opportunity. But I wanted you to walk me through that XFL draft day, that process, getting the call, talking to Coach Hazlitt over there with the Sea Dragons, a guy who was an all-pro linebacker in the league. Talk about you've had some great coaches getting you to this point. Just another dude to acquaint yourself with that has, quite literally been there and done that.
Yeah, so the NFL draft happens. I don't hear anything. Super disappointed. Didn't know what was next. I mean, I was hoping to still get a call from an NFL team, maybe bring me in for a workout or something. But it was a dark time. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was really upset about it. But the biggest thing with pro sports is if you don't get a call, you still have to keep faith and you got to still work out because you don't know when you're gonna get that call. So you better be in shape when you get it.
Yep.
That might be your one opportunity. So I put my nose to the grindstone. I was working out like nothing changed. Still, didn't even skip a beat. Didn't take a week off. I'm like, I got to stay in shape just in case I do get a call. So I'm working out. And then I get a call from Coach Hazlitt. And he calls me. He's like, hey, I can't believe you didn't get picked up by an NFL team. He's like, the draft class was pretty flooded because of COVID. And he's like, so it is what it is. But he's like, look, I got an opportunity to put you on my team. He's like, I see a lot of potential in you. He actually played D2 football as well, so he kind of saw a similarity there.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's sweet.
I was excited. Yeah, he did. Yeah. So he likes the small school guys. So he saw an opportunity with me, and I was actually had an option to go play in Canada. Was thinking about it, but Coach Hasler kind of convinced me not to.
Interesting.
Just because it's just a numbers game in Canada sometimes can be a little bit worse
Yeah.
because you can only keep a certain amount of Americans on a team and stuff. So he kept swaying me to, hey, you should play in the XFL. It'd be a good opportunity for you to stay in America, make some good money, get your housing, your food paid for. And he's like, the NFL is going to scout this league a lot, so it's going to be a good opportunity. So he sold me. I'm like, okay, I want to play in the XFL. And Coach Hasler was saying, hey, we're going to draft you. And this was back in the summer, and the draft was in November. So he basically was giving me that guaranteed spot. Now, one thing I kind of learned in pro sports is don't just like let one coach kind of dictate your future. Still keep your options open.
Yeah.
Because sometimes stuff can happen. So he did end up drafting me in November, which I'm forever grateful for. That was an awesome experience. I remember sitting in my house in November, and I got the call from Coach Hasler, and he said in his old man voice, "You better get as many fucking sacks as you did in college." And then he hung up. And that's how he drafted me.
That was it on the phone call?
It was a cool experience. Yeah, that was pretty much it. And then I heard a bunch of commotion in the background, and he hung up. That was like, okay, shit, I guess I'm with Seattle now. So it was a good experience. I mean, it was cool. I guess what I didn't realize going into it, though, is how many NFL guys were going to be in the XFL.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the roster, and it was flooded with NFL guys. In my position group, alone, we had 3 NFL vets. And it is what it is, you know? But I didn't let that deteriorate me. I'm still working out, staying in shape. And I was happy to get drafted to Seattle. Obviously, that wasn't the team I ended up on, but I'm still happy, they took a chance on me.
Yeah, man. And you that go through that whole experience too, and to get that first taste of like, all right, I've made it, almost like I've arrived. You probably even got a little bit of a taste of that when you had that initial phone call. Like, yeah, I've got a spot for myself at the next level for sure. Now that comes to fruition. You get your spot on this team, and almost immediately, I would have to imagine it felt like the floor was probably pulled out from underneath you when you don't end up making the cuts there in Seattle. And then you go through this, like, another period of this limbo. Finally are brought on in about mid-March by the Battlehawks, and it's not like you're brought on in the fall camp. Like, they're going into, week 5 when you go and actually join that team for the first time? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so they were going into week 4, and it was a crazy experience. But let me just backtrack on cut day in Seattle. Man, is it rough? I mean, I thought I was going to make the team, to be honest with you. We started off with 5 guys in my position group. They cut it down to 3. I didn't know that. I thought they were only going to cut it down to 4. So I thought I was good, but I was the odd man out. They ended up cutting me, keeping the 3 NFL vets. But cut day is not fun. I mean, you see everybody's looking around like who got cut, and it's sad. But they slowly cut everybody in camp. So we started off with 90. They cut it down to 80, and then they cut it down to 70, and then they keep cutting it down to end up being 50, and then 45 active on game days. So they really go from 90 to 45. So it's a crazy amount of cuts. So you'll see one guy one day, and then the next day you won't see him, and they shit, he got cut. But yeah, that exit meeting with the GM and Coach Hasler was an interesting one. I was pretty upset, and I didn't say much in it. Well, yeah, being cut, man, it was a terrible feeling. But
I believe that.
St. Louis ended up calling Seattle the second I got cut. They saw I got cut. They called Seattle, and they were like, "Hey, you cut Erik? Like, what's the deal?" Like, so I thought maybe I was gonna get signed right there. But actually, Coach Beck ended up calling me. We had a good conversation. He kind of told me, "Hey, just stay in shape. We'll get something worked out for you." Which then, I ended up getting signed week 4 with St. Louis, which was also a crazy phone call.
I bet, dude. Yeah, I believe that. Now, as far as getting there, landing on your feet, now you have this sort of uncertainty because you've seen how quickly, like you just said, you've seen how quickly these decisions can be made and how quickly your locker buddy, your dude next to you is just sent packing home. How long did it take for you to, I don't want to say get comfortable or like settle in, because obviously you'll never get too comfortable. It's just the nature of the job. But how long did it take you for you to get to that position where you really did start to feel a little more comfortable in your role with that squad?
Yeah, it was a quick turnaround with St. Louis. I was expecting a call, but I was starting to get a little worried. And they called me in the middle of my workout, and I answer. I'm like, "What number is this?" Because it was the GM who called me, and I didn't have his number saved. So I answer it, and he's like, "Hey, with St. Louis Battlehawks, we're gonna sign you. We're gonna try to get here tonight." So I got on a flight 2 hours later, and I was in Texas. So we all stay in Texas, by the way.
Okay.
I'm in Texas, like 5 hours after I get the call, and then the next morning I pass my physical, sign my contract, and I'm practicing.
Just like that.
I was just like that. Like less than 24 hours later, I'm practicing with the team. So the crazy turnaround, and obviously I wasn't comfortable in that situation because I hadn't proved myself. I started to gain confidence though. The GM and the head coach both, like one-on-ones is where you prove yourself as a D lineman, especially in pro sports. So the GM and the head coach are watching me do my first one-on-ones. Like they basically want to see what they signed, because I guarantee if I look bad, they might have just cut me right there. You know what I'm saying? So they're both watching my one-on-ones, and I did well in the one-on-ones, and I'm like, okay, I could tell they like what they saw. Did well in the one-on-ones, but I'm still not comfortable. I'm like, I got to keep proving myself, because I felt like I did good in Seattle, and they still cut me. So it was like I knew I had to still prove myself. So I wouldn't say I was comfortable until I played in my first game with them, which was against Vegas in Vegas. I had 2 quarterback hits right off the bat, and I'm like, okay, I know I can play this level in this game for sure, and I know I can do well with it. And I think the coaches saw that too, and I think that's when I started getting, all right, this is my team. Like I'm cool with these guys. I'm fitting in here. This is a good thing. We got a good team. And yeah, I felt real comfortable after that.
Yeah, I feel that. And I was actually just talking to Jake Witt, our old offensive tackle here at Northern. He's with the Colts right now in training camp, and talking to him about, making that jump. And his biggest thing was like, I thought dudes were going to be like off the line just way too fast for me to handle. Like in the back of his head, he had just talked about that. After he got his first couple reps down, he's like, oh, I can hang with these guys. Like, obviously it's still a difficult and it's still a very large jump, especially from a Division II school, to make it to the pros. But like, you just get that first hit, that first rep, for you, the quarterback hits. You get that out of the way. I think that is the best way to settle anybody down in that position. Then you see that across the board. Like you'll play call in, you'll scheme in a quarterback to make a quick slant throw to get things going, to get people comfortable on offense or whatever. But as far as the XFL goes, is the turnover in that league as prevalent as it seems from an outsider? I feel like we see between players, coaches, other personnel, whatever, like you had talked about, when you're going from 90 to 45 and you're cutting rosters in half, it feels like the turnover is absolutely crazy with people just bouncing around. Is that as prevalent as maybe it seems from the outside?
Yeah, I would say the turnover is pretty extreme, because there is no preseason games either in the XFL. So it's kind of like they kind of, in the first year of League Two, I mean, obviously they had it in 2020, and then I think they had it in the 80s too. But being like a pretty relatively new league, I mean, they got to see what they get. And a lot of guys aren't in shape, or they're kind of washed up, or maybe they just got put in a position that they weren't really meant for. So yeah, there is a lot of turnover. I mean, I was a little bit surprised too. I think with St. Louis, they did a really good job of scouting, so there wasn't as much turnover. I think they kind of rolled with the guys they brought in, pretty much. Although you still saw it a little bit, but the GM for St. Louis and the head coach for St. Louis, I really, really like them, because they kind of like let us play, and they let us, be ourselves. And I just felt like it was a really good fit for me. And I didn't really feel like they were out to get me, or I was going to get cut the next day if I didn't do well at practice, and I felt real comfortable in that team.
Totally. I get that. What is it like from the guys talking about the other leagues besides the NFL, obviously? But you talk like USFL, obviously a big one, but even we touched a little bit on CFL or indoor leagues. I'm always curious, because there's definitely levels to this shit even within the professional leagues. Like, how do guys speak about those other leagues, and is there kind of a destination where guys want to end up? Like, is that the XFL as far as those leagues are concerned?
I would say if it's not in the NFL, people want to play in the XFL.
Okay.
Because the timeline's better when it comes to if you want to transition in the NFL.
Yeah.
We get done quicker than the USFL. So the timeline's better. 10-week season compared to 18 weeks in the CFL.
Okay.
It's your body through less turmoil. 10 weeks and you're still fresh and you can go into an NFL season a little bit fresh, 10 games, it's not nothing crazy. The timeline, like I said, the pay, I prefer the XFL pay because you get that $1,000 win bonus on top of that $5,000 a game. And then you get obviously playoff money. If you win the playoffs, you win the championship, you get more money. So there's room to make some money in the XFL, and they pay for your housing and your food. So it's a good deal what the XFL has now. I'm really excited to see how it does next year as well.
Yeah, that's all. And well, they did lose like $60 million in year one, so we're gonna gloss over that, Dwayne and company over there. But he said it. They're in for the long term, right? They're in it for the long term. This is not a 1-year deal. He wants this thing supposedly to be sustained and continue to go on, which is obviously admirable. But a storyline I loved from this past year, a guy you got to play with, AJ McCarron, the quarterback for your squad, a career NFL backup really after coming out of Bama, that said he wanted to have his son see him play, like to really play. And he did just that. He had a freaking hell of a season. He threw for almost like 400 yards in your guys' last game this spring, and that was awesome to witness. What was it like being around, I guess, him in particular, but also probably some other guys kind of in his shoes that maybe just didn't crack it in the league, but now get to come down here and just play their hearts out, man?
Yeah, I mean, he was a great leader for us. I remember after that last game, he was fired up because for us to make it into playoffs, we knew we were going to have. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the video of him, but I'm in the background and he's like ramping us up, like, "Yo, we gotta go out there and down." I mean, he's a good leader.
That's awesome.
So for him to to lead the team, he's an experienced guy, been around the NFL for a while, won 3 national championships at Bama, 2 as a starter. So I mean, he's been around the block. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows how to play football, and to have him lead was really, really special. But man, that last game, he was fired up, and he really fired us all up. Because for that last game, we had to win by a certain amount of points to make it to playoffs. Unfortunately, we got taken out of playoffs on a technicality, which sucked. And Seattle got in. My former team, of course, got in the playoffs instead of us. But I'm happy for my boys at Seattle that I played with that they made it. But obviously, we really wanted to make it into playoffs, and he was fired up. He had a great game. He was a great leader, great quarterback, and happy I was able to learn from him.
Man. What is what's the D2, D3 kind of like small college football, even NAIA? Like, what's that presence like in that league? Because I think you were one of only a couple Division II guys on that roster. Obviously, when there is only 45 guys, it's tough to just have that large quantity. But what's that presence like of small college football guys?
Yeah, I mean, that was surprising as well. I thought there'd be more D2 guys in the XFL, but it's a lot of, you get your SEC guys, your Big Ten guys. I mean, it's still flooded with those type of players. But occasionally you'll get your D2 guy, and it's fun to talk to them and be like, hey, like, we really got out the mud. Like, we were overlooked by so many people, you know what I'm saying? And to kind of share that path of player and kind of talk about it, it's pretty special. Because I know they had to work as hard as I did to get to that same position, you know what I'm saying? So it is cool to see those D2 guys, D3, a few D3 guys. It's cool to see those guys make it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Last bit I had for you, though. We'll go back, talk about your college a little bit. Upper Iowa, safe to say, struggled a bit over the last decade. Has not been a team that's been on top of that conference. Now, it's tough because NSIC, you and I both know, a lot of talent, more importantly, a lot of depth. Like a lot of depth in that conference, top to bottom. But I think the idea in a lot of guys' heads is that, especially at a smaller school, if you're not consistently making deep playoff runs every single year, you're not going to get looks to go play pro ball, because that's when a lot of these guys, again, in the heads of a lot of people, and it makes sense, playing in the postseason, big-time football games. Did that thought ever creep into the back of your head? Did that ever worry you at all when you were trying to make it to the next level?
Yeah, it did. And I actually, because of COVID, I had the opportunity to grad transfer if I wanted to. And I had a lot of coaches, not hitting me up, but kind of heard things. And I know I'd have the opportunity to go play at a big-time D1 if I wanted to. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, I don't want to leave my friends, my teammates, the coaches that took a chance on me when I wasn't a great athlete, you know what I'm saying? And they saw something. What would I be to just leave when they invested all this time and coaching into me? I just leave when I become good. It didn't sit right with me, So I I decided to stay and take the risk. I thought we were going to be good. Unfortunately, my senior year, we still struggled.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade the memories at Upper Iowa for anything. I mean, I love those coaches, love the teammates, love the school. I mean, small school, but I mean, it was a family over there, and that family atmosphere was just hard to walk away from. So I decided to stay and take the risk. And I knew it would probably hurt me a little bit when it came to playing professionally, but I thought, I'm going to dominate my senior year, which I did. Had 20 TFLs, 9 sacks. I mean, I thought that would be enough.
Hell
but,
yeah.
It is what it is. I don't regret it. I think it did hurt me a little bit, but I don't regret it. I think Upper Iowa's they're gonna take a turn this year. They just switched conferences actually. They're out of the Northern Sun, so I think they're gonna do well in this new conference. And I think eventually, hopefully, I kind of paved the way and show people you can go pro out of Upper Iowa. It's a small D2, but you can go pro out of it.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully, gonna kind of lead the way with that and kind of bring some scouts in.
Yeah, man. Change of scenery for them will be welcomed, I'm sure. That'll be definitely big time. But that's all I've got for you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm excited to keep following along with you, man. I got a horse in the race now to watch when I watch some spring ball, so I'm excited about that, dude.
Yeah, appreciate it. You got a new Battlehawks fan, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, shoot, I kind of already was, just because they're hard not to be a fan, but now I can consider myself a real fan now. But Erik, thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely be in touch. All right, man?
All right, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Erik, for joining us. A lot of great stories from him, fellas, about the XFL, the inner workings of that, and probably one of the better ones, actually. Like, his experience getting cut was pretty interesting to hear about for sure. But we can talk about some more Division II players going pro. These guys getting a crack at the NFL. Wayne Kivati released a full list of Division II players going into training camps this fall in the NFL. So this is not current to date. I'm sure there have been some cuts made off of this list, but this is the list that we had to go off of. This was he published this just 5 days ago on the 26th. So, fellas, I guess we'll start with the teams that have the most Division II players. The Colts have 8. That is number one. Wow. There's 8 Division II players heading into training camp with the Colts. That does not mean all 8 of them will make the final 53-man or whatever, the roster. The Lions have 6. The Jets have 6. Chargers, Tampa Bay, and the Commanders all have 5 apiece. Then there's a plethora of teams, if you will, that have like 4 or 3, whatever. There's a good spattering. But 8 Division II guys heading into camp for the Indianapolis Colts, one of them being our very own Jake Witt, who got drafted this past year. As we know, another one of those guys being Dallas Flowers out of Pitt State. He's over there in Indy too.
Yeah, he is. He started a lot of games for them last year, honestly, and he was a big kick returner, big punt returner. So I'd like to scratch him into the lineup, So like hopefully, at least one, and Jake. You know what I mean. So
yeah, it sounds like
Jake will probably
will
be a practice squad guy. So that's obviously really good still. So
totally, yeah, and a couple of other. Trying to think, look at some notable alums on this list, right? And guys that have been established. Talk about guys like Adam Thielen, who's in Carolina now. He was in Minnesota, but the Minnesota State wide receiver. We talked about Dallas Flowers. Austin Eckler on the Chargers. He's a Western Colorado guy. I did not know that actually until a little while back. I just never really realized that.
Yeah, I think I found out like what year did he come in the league? He came in 20.
That's a good question. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, but it wasn't though.
But it wasn't.
It's probably like 2017, dude.
Oh, really?
2016.
I guess he
led the NFL in total touchdowns for, I believe, the second straight season this past year. So that's a pretty notable piece right there. And now with the market the way it is, he's a fantasy machine too. It's also notable. Yeah.
Like you can't pass up on Eckler at like 5. That's the thing, because Eckler will get to 5, I think.
Yeah. Another big time, Tyreek Hill in Miami, out of West Alabama.
Yeah.
That's one I don't think a lot of people talk about that one.
Because he wasn't Tyreek Hill at West Alabama. That's why.
Absolutely.
Wait,
first team All-Pro last year for the Dolphins.
Did he go to West Alabama before or after Oklahoma State? Wasn't he at Oklahoma State?
He went there before. Then transferred to Oklahoma State for his senior year, I think.
That could be it. Not sure off the top of my head, to be honest. Yeah, okay. We can fact check it too if you'd like.
Yeah, check it. Actually,
a couple Ferris State alums. Zach Sealer, also in Miami. We saw him have that fumble return for a touchdown. Was that
Christmas?
That was Christmas, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a big play.
Right?
I remember him making. It could be.
Yeah,
I'm not sure 100%. And then Tavier Thomas in Houston, another Ferris State alum there. Yeah, the defensive back. He had a big pick six last year. I remember seeing that clip circulate around a little bit. C.J. Ham in Minnesota. He's going into maybe his 7th year in the league right now. He's been a captain, I think, the last couple seasons for the Vikings. He's from Augustana in South Dakota in that Northern Sun, the NSIC. And then you got another great one I think that a lot of people think about, probably because he's from Grand Valley State. That's Matthew Judon in New England. Yeah. That's a dude who has a lot of All-Pro awards. He's certainly stacked up quite the career for himself and carved out, not just with the Patriots, obviously. He was with Baltimore, correct, for a long time.
Yep.
So,
he broke out in the Patriots, though.
He did. He definitely did. Now, when it comes to positions of these guys, there's about 86 total. What do we think the number one position is of all the Division II guys that made it or have made it to chances, training opportunities with these NFL teams? I wanted to ask both you guys. Offensive lineman is your pick?
I was focused on Tyreek Hill and have no idea what you're asking.
What do you think out of all these guys, there's about 86 of them, what do you think the number one position is out of all them going into camp, out of the D2 guys?
Probably, he said O-line?
Yeah, he did O-line.
I'm going to say D-line.
I would have said O-line too before this.
DBs?
It's wide receivers.
Okay.
Wow.
Wide receivers. There were 20 wide receivers on this list, fellas. DBs had 17, offensive linemen 14, defensive linemen 11. That's actually your top 4.
Because honestly, I just took like, okay, what position has the most, players at it?
That's actually a really good point too.
Offensive line, defensive line. So.
And you can't coach size.
Right. And that's the thing, like Jake Witt. There's probably 2 or 3 other Jake Witts out there. You know what I mean? Not actually like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
He's superior, but
his case, of just being an absolute specimen, being that size, having that athleticism, having these intangibles and these tangibles that you cannot coach. It doesn't matter what level you come from.
But at the same time, like I really do see wide receivers because think about it, dude. There's so many freaking wide receivers that are so talented.
Yes.
So talented, bro. And a lot of the times, like the difference between D1 and D2 skills are not, you know what I mean, a step or two. You know what I mean? It's not, or grades. Like it really does come down to that. Like some guys just fall to the D2 level that have like legit NFL talent.
Yep.
And that's not a
not
a jack in the box, right? That's like it's real.
Absolutely. We saw a couple wide receivers this past year actually get picked up by some NFL teams. A couple of those being Derike Young from Lenore Rhine, John Hall from Northwood. Both of them are actually with the Seahawks. So 2 wide receivers going there. And then I'm trying to think. I thought there was one more potentially that from this past year, but I'm not. I'm kind of blanking. I do remember Keelan Harris from Oklahoma Baptist. I think he might have been the year before. But I'm trying to find him on this list here. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that wide receiver position is very interesting because you're right. There's so many just talented playmakers all over the place. And
think
that's
about
like
how
super.
many, like,
David Durden, there it is. David Durden from the Cowboys from West Florida. That was a pick in this past year.
Think about how many guys, like how many wide receivers got drafted late rounds that have been so good. Yeah, like, think about it. Like that's just there's not a shortage of receivers. That's why, like, I really don't think, you know what I mean, like. There's a lot of good receivers. They're not irreplaceable. They're not irreplaceable. I mean, obviously Jettas, you can't replace.
I think the skill difference between your starting wide receiver and your third string wide receiver is a lot closer together than like your starting left tackle and your third string left tackle.
Absolutely. Right. Like what's depending on the squad, actually, depending on the system, what's a bigger impact if number one goes down? I would be with you that left tackle spot way more.
Yeah.
100%.
Also, Tyreek Hill was at Garden City Community College for 2 years. Then Oklahoma State. Then West Alabama.
Wow. Interesting. But they can still claim him as an alum, I guess, because that was his last year, maybe?
Yeah. And he was also more of a running back at West Alabama.
Look at you finding the facts. Interesting.
He had more rushing yards than receiving yards.
Could have been like a Devo type situation.
He just didn't do much at Oklahoma State. He just didn't get the ball much. He didn't he had kick return. He had a sick ass punt return. I remember watching.
Oh, it was a kick returner and punt returner at West Alabama.
Either way,
too.
obviously worked out for him. We talked about it. 17 DBs. I think defensive backs, offensive linemen. We talked about it a lot. Is a premium on it right now. We just talked with Trey last episode about what that position is doing right now in the NFL, and he said it every year. There are so many defensive backs taken off that board because it is at a premium. We talk about the wide receivers, the absolute depth of talent in that pool because everyone and their brother wants to be a wide receiver, I think.
I mean, it's realistically the hardest position to play.
Because you have to guard them. And if you can guard them, there's a premium on being able to stop that part of the game.
You have to have the best hips, the best feet. a very good knowledge of the game, a very good feel for where the ball is going to be. Like, it's really like you have one bad year as a corner and you're automatically, this guy needs to get the hell out of our
black sheep.
Get the hell out of our fucking room. You know what I mean? Like Amani Aruarie. Like, he had one and he was done.
He did a pretty good job of that name pronunciation on the quick. That was pretty good.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, same thing with Okuda, dude. He's a 3rd overall pick. He had one shit year, and then this year it was just like he didn't make any progress.
Injury bug had a part to play with that too.
And now it's just like, okay, we upgraded.
Yeah.
Quote unquote upgraded but he was our 3rd overall pick. Like, you know what I mean? So
wild.
It's like Jerry Jacobs even, dude. He had one good year. Now look, he's in the mix.
Injury bug too, though.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure it happens to other teams. You
and
know
a lot of that is recency
just
bias. When you talk about like media and other like fans and things, like when you talk about recency bias is a very real thing. Like with Jerry and with Okuda, like those type of guys, when you miss a lot of playing time, all of a sudden you're not at the forefront of people's brains, and they are so quick to frickin' write you off.
Well, then,
think about even Jalen Ramsey. People don't think of him as an elite corner anymore.
That's the thing. Like. On the opposite side of the poll, Sauce Gardner just got in the league, and me personally, I do not think Sauce is the best corner in the league because I think if you really watch a tape, like 3-1 is clear. Him or Pat Surtain are clear-cut best cornerbacks in the league. But like, think about it. Sauce just got in the league. They have him power ranked as the #1 corner in the NFL. Yeah. Like, that's how much it just like
recency bias.
You're locked down. You're good. You get beat for 1,100 yards one year or 800 yards one year. You might as well go give me my McChicken at McDonald's. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it helps that, again, you have the year that he had. Obviously, he played fantastically. You have a nickname like Sauce. You make all these headlines. You play in a very big market team. Mm-hmm. If Sauce goes to Green Bay, we're not having this conversation.
And everyone wants to shit on Asante Samuel. He's right.
Yes.
Like, he really is right. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? And Darrelle Revis is, or whatever his name was, he was beefing with.
That was an interesting Twitter.
Not Darrelle Revis. Charles Woodson.
Yeah, I think it was Woodson. Yeah. Other positions, though. Division II players getting chances at NFL camps. We've got 8 linebackers, 8 running backs. And then we kind of get into some of the nitty-gritty. 3 tight ends, 2 long snappers, a kicker, a punter, and 1 quarterback.
The kicker's from Shepherd, right?
The kicker is from Wingate. That was Ethan Evans, the one that got drafted this past year to the Rams.
Yeah, right before Witt.
Yes, that was the one that was lifting the heinous amount of weight.
Yeah.
That was fucking absurd. 1 quarterback, and that was this year. That's Tyson Bagent. He was a Harlan Hill winner over at. That's the one at Shepherd that you had thought of. But the quarterback from Shepherd, he is with the Bears currently, and I guess we'll see if he sticks around. That'd be very interesting because he's got arm talent. He can move very well. Maybe he doesn't have the frame, but he's no like Josh Allen or anything, obviously, though he's kind of an anomaly, excuse me.
Crazier shit's happened.
It has. It definitely has. And again,
maybe he'll
Harlan Hill trophy winner. You can make some shit work over there. What'd you say?
Maybe he'll beat out Justin Fields. I'm just hoping Jimmy's listening to this episode tomorrow and hearing me say that.
Tomorrow? You might get a text right now because his Spidey sense went off. What are you talking about tomorrow?
His field sense.
Yeah. Jimmy isn't the only one high on Fields, dude. I've seen these Bears fans are coming out of the woodwork. I didn't know there was this many in the world.
There shouldn't be.
A lot of it's just a lot of talk for 3 wins. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
A couple of these guys, especially the guys that were on the squad last year, got themselves a ring. That being Jody Fortson from Valdosta State, the tight end. This will be his 2nd year, I do believe. He's a guy that I believe has battled the injury bug a little bit. Potentially he has played a decent amount and could potentially see a lot more time for them this year, especially if Kelsey keeps punching motherfuckers in practice. Then he might get out into the field a little more.
He got to be on some shit, bro.
Joshua Williams too.
The game like really like
yeah.
That,
Joshua Williams, the defensive back out of Fayetteville State, is another one that I think has actually seen a little bit of time. He's a freak athlete for the Chiefs. There, D2 product, but that was kind of the piece, fellas.
Yeah, good.
That's good pretty article. Neat stuff. Yeah, shout out Wayne. He does a lot of good work, and him just going through the nitty gritty of like I think he looked at just every single NFL roster, every single one.
Are you fitting me?
Mike Tyson.
What the fuck?
We've got some new Division III football rankings, though, from D3Football.com, fellas. And I guess I'll just put it on the screen for us, or I guess the people watching to see a little bit better here. But we'll also just talk through all of them for those listening. But you'll notice, we're going to compare these to the ones from the College Football Network that we had a hand in part of announcing those rankings. But you'll notice the top is mostly the same. The first 3 most notably. North Central, Mount Union, Mary Hardin, Baylor. Those top 3, North Central getting 22 first place votes, Mount Union getting 3, and nobody else receiving any, fellas. That's pretty crazy. Only 2 teams. And this is a vote comprised of coaches, media members, and other members across the country. Supposedly, that's what is told by D3 Football. So it's not just someone like us sitting in our basement just making these rankings.
I feel like it's not that crazy.
And we don't make any rankings, by the way. Anything you
We
said,
don't make any rankings, by the way. Correct.
We just spread the news.
We do. What are you saying, Trev?
If you do look at the D3 landscape, I don't think it's really that crazy. I mean, I feel like Mount Union and North Central have dominated.
And they return a ton, right?
Yeah. For the past, 5 years probably?
Yeah. I mean, shit, we talked about, we were just talked about I shouldn't say we talked about it. We posted about the OAC, the Ohio Athletic Conference, just on our Twitter and Instagram and things. You'd have to go back to 2016 to find a team that wasn't named Mount Union that even won the conference title.
That's crazy.
But mark my words, bro.
This is fuel, bro.
Blah, blah, blah is going to win the OAC next year.
We had a kid on the Division III side, tangent here, on the Division III all-name team. Not the All-American team, the all-name team. The best names in college football. Has nothing to do with what they've done between the white lines. Just the funniest names in college football. Any comments? This is fuel to me. With the little, he got the smoke coming out of his nostrils. Like, he pissed.
I seen that, bro. I almost, made a burner, really quick.
College Football Network replied and he said, what are you going to do, change your name? This is the all-name team. Should have said, dumbass.
Yeah. I did see that, too. I forgot to tell you guys I saw that. But I'm like,
great.
bro, I can't even,
This is just fuel to me. Mark my words.
Mark my words. This is fuel.
That's so great, dude. That
they finna come here and do something. Mark my words.
They ain't getting in here, man. But we can talk the rest of the top 10 here. Rounding out after Mary Hardin Baylor. At 4, we've got Trinity, Texas. You got Wartburg, St. John's, Linfield, Hardin-Simmons, Ithaca, and then Delaware Valley. What do you notice about that top 10, fellas? No schools with the old UW
Yep,
in front of it. And then 11 and 12, UW Whitewater and UW La Crosse. And that was the first thing that I noticed in the difference of rankings between the College Football Network and this one. La Crosse at 12 in these as opposed to number 5. And that was a big one. And even Whitewater. Whitewater is at number 8, and they dropped down a few spots as well. So that was a big one. Trinity moves up 5 spots in these rankings at number 4. Cortland and Ithaca, both teams that, the 2 best teams out there in that kind of New York region, the obvious rivals, the biggest little game in football, the Cortica Jug game every year. Cortland at 17 as opposed to unranked in the college football. That was really surprising for me. They were 9-2 last year. They lost in the Cortica Jug game against Ithaca and then lost in the first round of the playoffs to Macon. I don't know how to say that one, to be honest with you. And then Ithaca at 9 in these rankings versus 18. Ithaca is a squad that I think is going to put a lot of people on notice this year, and they obviously agree with me on that one. They were 12-1 last year, boys. Their offense was one of the best in the country. I remember on my visit there, actually, we were talking about the quarterback that would come in, A.J. Wingfield, I do believe is his name. He's got a hell of a name. And he was a local guy, really small stature kid that just had insane arm talent and was overlooked because of his size by a lot of the larger schools in the area. And I remember the coaches, even before he got on campus, they were like, this is going to be a fucking dude.
Really?
And he absolutely has been.
Has he started the last 2 years?
For them, I do believe so.
That's
now,
dope.
Ithaca lost to North Central in the 3rd round of the playoffs. But other than that, like I said, they were a buzzsaw last year. They beat Cortland in freaking Yankee Stadium. We talked about that rivalry already on this show.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? That'd be so sick, dude.
Santa Maria! You ever heard the Yankees announcer do that?
I don't watch any Yankees games, actually.
There it goes! See ya!
A couple other notable moves. Aurora at 20 versus 10 in the College Football Network rankings. And then Utica. They were unranked in this ranking. I think that was the one that had the most people mad on the old social medias today. The Moose, I want to say they're orange. I think it's a moose. We might have to look at their mascot.
I think it is a moose.
We might have to look at their mascot.
Utica Ford?
No. I don't know if we've looked at their mascot for our new upcoming top 10 D3 mascots list. Plug. Have we, Trev?
I don't think so.
We'll have to look at them. But that had people pissed because Utica had made a lot of noise last year. And it's preseason rankings. Like, who gives a shit? But people care. Trust me. They freaking care. Otherwise, though, not a ton of anything crazy with that. That was just kind of the talk in the landscape. Let's go GLIAC preseason or Alderson Broaddus first?
Go GLIAC.
Okay. You got it. The GLIAC Football Media Day was today. That being, as many would say, and myself, the best conference in Division II football, headlined by this team right here, fellas. The Ferris State Bulldogs picked, I was going to say to repeat as GLIAC champions, as they said on their social media, but Trevor, that might not be the case.
They were indeed not GLIAC champions last year.
National champions, but not GLIAC champions. That's quite the conundrum. So GVSU football was pretty quick to call them out in a little bit of a rebuttal. That was kind of interesting.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see that?
It just was like,
I stayed away from all the GLIAC shit today.
it was just childish.
It kind of
They're still the national champs. Like, who cares? You won the GLIAC championship. You're a GLIAC champion. They're still the national champion.
I heard Northern Michigan finna make some noise this year, though. I don't know.
Is that what you heard, though?
That's what I've been hearing.
That's what you've been hearing? Who you been hearing that
Mark
from?
my words, this shit gonna add fuel to the fire.
Mark my word.
So Ferris State, a little bit of context for you guys who didn't see that. Ferris State puts out a tweet saying that, the back-to-back GLIAC champs are on their way to Media Day, and they are, in fact, not the back-to-back GLIAC champs. They're the back-to-back defending national champions. And Grand Valley was pretty quick to put out this tweet, and they said, quote, "We see some weird tweets coming out. Facts are facts, and we always give our opponents the proper respect. GVSU football, the 2022 GLIAC football champions. That would also mean defending GLIAC champions."
That's the thing, bro. Whoever running Ferris' account, you think they're like, oh, I'm gonna get them with this one. And then they're typing, like they all mad, bro.
That's how
like,
it be. That's how it be.
Oh my gosh.
When you can't beef with a person in real life, you start typing on that keyboard hard.
What if Ferris just sent back like a screenshot of the ring? It's like just a blink. Like, come on, bro. That's why you don't say nothing. Like, cause then you can't. There's no receipts. You know what I mean? There's no receipts when you can do this shit like that.
Yeah, that's a good point, because then you pull that up in a couple months here,
Yeah.
right? Depending on what the Anchor Bone Classic looks like. But looking at the actual poll, though, all those things aside, Ferris State is picked to win the conference this year. They had 34 points with, what is that, 5? Is that 5? Yeah, it's far away. 5 first-place votes. And then you've got Grand Valley in second, obviously, 31 points with 1 first-place vote. Davenport in third, 27, not too far behind. Really close, actually, with their own first-place vote, which was rather surprising. But Trevor, you and I had said,
you know what I was thinking?
What's that?
You guys probably thought the same shit, but Coach Anise probably you know what I mean? He not gonna pick, or vice versa. They're not gonna pick each other,
That's
bro.
what we were
That's
just
exactly
saying.
what we were
That's what
saying.
they're not gonna pick. One of them did it. One
Yeah.
of them was like, you know what? I'll be a good guy.
Yeah.
I'll give him a vote. The other guy was like, we did this thing in math class once.
Because he's just, for people who kind of understand, like Grand Valley and Ferris, they obviously, like, the coaches can't vote for their own teams, we're assuming. So one of them maybe took the petty route and said, I can't vote for myself. I ain't voting for your bitch ass either. I'm giving it to Davenport.
Bro, we had this. It's kind of like this in math. We had math. This is kind of weird, but we had 2 sections split up in the class, one group and one group. And if we both picked the same thing, we'd all get like a B- on the assignment.
Oh,
but if we picked circle and they picked square, we'd all get an A and they all get a C+. You know what I mean? So I'm over there. I'm chopping it up with them. Hey, yeah, pick blah 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 blah. But like you know us over here, we going for the A. So that's probably like something that happened like that. I mean, obviously they're not doing circles and squares and like all that shit.
Yeah.
But one of them was petty.
Are you sure?
One of them
might be.
One of them was petty.
Okay.
That's what that little one next to Davenport. When we know where that's from.
Who? Which one?
I think it was Grand Valley. They're like, they said they were 2-time GLIAC champions.
These votes were in far before that tweet came out, but that is
Damn
a
it.
good guess. That is a great guess.
But
I don't know for
you
sure.
You can't tell me it's not one of them. You
Well,
can't
no,
tell
it's
me.
100% one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's so funny to me.
I feel like it would be Grand Valley, though, because why would Ferris be petty about it? They're 2-time national champions.
Not GLIAC.
Not GLIAC.
National, though. Yeah.
So why be petty about it?
Otherwise, rounding out the rest of the rankings, we've got Saginaw Valley in 4th. We got Michigan Tech in 5th. Wayne State in 6th. And there's that Cat team at
Hey,
7.
shit. We like it. We like it.
Do we?
Mark my words.
This shit don't matter though. You can take it.
It really doesn't
You can
matter.
take it 2 ways, bro. You can take it the classic way now, like
This fuel for real.
Exactly. You could take it like that, or just like, bro, I don't give a bleep, and like just go do your work, bro.
Yes.
Who cares?
He said, mark my words.
They got no idea what you're doing, bro. Like this shit do not matter. They could have had us have first and Ferris had last, and I'd be like, you know what? I don't give a shit. Like, I really don't.
It's not going to change any of the results in the fall.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's all the preseason rankings are. But,
everybody's 0-0.
It is curious to look at these. The one kind of takeaway is to see what people think about these other squads, right? These like being at the coaches poll, right? The preseason poll. And, you know, the most shocking thing for me, and I tweeted this out in our account earlier today, only one first place vote for GVSU, because you've got 5 other teams there that are going to vote potentially for Ferris or GV. We're assuming that all of them voted for one of those 2 squads. Only one of them said that GV is going. They already beat them last year. So, and then also, I was just kind of surprised because you bring back the cornerstones of your offense and your defense. You got Cade Peterson back at quarterback. You got our D1R athlete, Abe. Flip the camera over to his plaque in our studio over here. Middle linebacker for them. You got running back. Tariq Reed is back after he freaking tested the waters of the portal, apparently. But you bring back all of these key pieces on that squad. Now, I'm assuming, guys, losing those 3 transfers, maybe, and then obviously a new head coach, but losing those 3 transfers might have been a reason why GV only got that one first place vote.
But they're the defending GLIAC champion.
They are. You got to remember that.
Oh, shit.
Those 3 transfers, those who do not know, 2 of their top pass catchers and an All-American defensive back, that being Jade Walker, Jalen Tillman, and cornerback Nazir Forquan, all announced their transfer destinations. You've got Walker's going to Texas A&M, Tillman at Bowling Green, and Forquan at Wisconsin, joining his former head coach, Matt Mitchell, who is now on the Badger staff over there. So
correct.
I'm assuming a combination of that and Coach Wooster taking over the reins, as they did hire internally, but it's still going to be a semi-new, GV team, because you get a new head coach. A lot of things can potentially change. So I'm assuming a combination of those 2, whereas Ferris, same old. Anise at the helm. They got the formula. So is that
when's that shit going to get old, bro?
I don't know. Is it? I mean, I don't know. When they stop winning, honestly. When they stop winning, it might get old. But
when they lose like 2 games and still sneak into the playoffs, because then they don't get to play at home when it's cold as shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that helps them so much, though.
Dude, it's absurd. Like, I think the game that really illustrated that for me,
Colorado Mines.
They played that on a neutral site in Texas.
Not Mines. It was the game.
I'm thinking Shepherd.
Not
this past year, but 2 years ago.
2 years ago. It was, and they came and they were like starstruck, basically.
Because it was Tyson Hill. Or Tyson Hill. Tyson Bagent. I'm thinking, I just combined Harlan Hill and Tyson Bagent.
Maybe
and Taysom Hill.
Yeah. And Taysom.
And Tyreek Hill.
It could have been Taysom. But anyways, when Tyson Bagent took that Shepherd team in there, they had one of the best, most proficient offenses in the country. You travel all the way up to Ferris State over there, west side of Michigan. That's not, I mean, don't get me wrong. Shepherd is, I think, in Pennsylvania, so it's not exactly the best weather ever. But traveling up north to Michigan.
Lake effect snow out right off Lake Michigan.
Exactly.
So it's a little different. You
saw the conditions on game. If you saw the conditions on game day there, you'd understand that Shepherd offense was 100% predicated on the pass. They had some really great run game too. Their running back actually right now, Ronnie Walker, I believe his name is. He's getting a chance with the Buccaneers in the NFL. He's one of those guys on that list earlier. But when you have an offense that is so predicated on the pass, you go up there and play smash mouth football. Is the GLIAC like? I mean, I would say the GLIAC is the SEC of D2, but is it the most Big Ten football-y because of the location and the style of football?
I mean, I feel like you can't, like, it has to be because it's so Midwestern.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it just makes sense, I think, right? Like, it just, especially when you watch Ferris, anytime they're in the red zone.
It's the SEC.
What do you mean red zone? They can go all the way down the field, not even throw the ball. 2 years ago.
What do you mean red zone? They do it at their own 5.
Yeah. Why am I drawing a blank on their quarterback 2 years ago? Well, not like last year. Not this past year.
You're talking about...
you're not talking about Gulk. You're talking Malik Mitchell, maybe?
No, the guy at the Falcons.
The guy on the Falcons.
Jared Bernhardt.
Yeah.
He could go down the field and not have to throw the ball for the first... Like, I think it happened to us, actually. But
I was like, wait a minute. This sounds really familiar.
I don't think I was there freshman year. I wasn't there. I didn't travel.
I was there filming. But was that before or after they took their entire offensive line and substituted them out for the 1B group?
What other squad can do that?
No, dude. That's why they're first on the poll, because they do shit like that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this shit's over.
Mark my words.
Mark my words.
That's fuel for real. That's fuel. But the GLIAC preseason poll. Excited to see how that kind of turns out. And I guess one more piece I had on it, fellas. When you look at this, the GLIAC has almost been divided into tiers. And I think that's been shaken up this past year, especially with the rise of Davenport, what they've been able to do in the transfer portal and bringing in all these different players. I was talking to, an unnamed man this past week whose son plays tight end at Davenport. There's 13 tight ends there. Guess how many were high school recruited out of high school?
One. He
was the one. The rest were all in the transfer portal. Not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying it's very, 13? Very different. That was what I was told.
Very different.
When you look at Fair State's roster on their website, you've got all the people with numbers, and then you've got a fat-ass section underneath with dudes with no number. And it's just dudes on the roster.
You're talking about Davenport, though.
I'm talking about both. They could both run it like this. They got just hella people on their rosters, too. It's crazy. That's what happens when you win, though. First time Davenport made it into the playoffs last year.
But they really ain't won shit.
It's yeah, but it's very interesting.
Now, I guess, with the new way they're doing it, they could probably do it, but
yeah. But it's interesting to me, you have these almost kind of built out tiers, and it feels like Davenport is still not quite. I mean, we saw what happened with Ferris and GV. That halftime score from Davenport GV game, dude,
35-0.
Dude, it was even worse than that. You would have thought that Davenport came out and hit Grand Valley's mother before that game. I don't even know it might have just been a pent up aggression type deal or something with them being so close to each other. It's kind of probably a bit of a rivalry.
And they played a good game for the GLIAC championship.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know if it was a good game, but they played at Davenport for the GLIAC championship.
So, wild. Yeah, but I mean, still, you have Davenport and Saginaw were kind of in that second tier, and that kind of leaves the Tech, the Northern, the Wayne State are just trying to, not that they're knocks on these teams, still quality football teams, but just not quite to that level. Saginaw Valley was just a few wins away from being in that same conversation. They lose to Davenport by 1, play Ferris State really tight, and then Grand Valley got away from them a little bit, but really had a chance to have potentially 4 playoff teams out of the same conference, that'd be absurd. So
5 with NMU.
5 with NMU. Mark my words. I never want to say that. Unironically in my life. I don't know why I put that up there, fellas. I'm going to read this. Alderson Broaddus, school down in West Virginia. Fellas, Cade did not know they existed before we started this particular program. Isn't that right, Cade?
Alderson Broaddus. I thought it was a professor at the university or something.
It is not. It is its own distinct university. Oh, wait, no, it's not, because they just got shut down. They're shutting down the whole school. Their authorization to award degrees in the state of West Virginia was revoked by the Higher Education Policy Commission, the HEPC, if you will, Trevor, on Monday, that being today, during an emergency meeting. The vote was unanimous. I wonder what they had the emergency meeting about. It was probably this. I wonder what spurred them to make that decision, though, which is kind of interesting. Their authorization to confer degrees, that's what stuck me up there for a second. Confer. It's an interesting word choice weird. There. That will be revoked effective December 31st, 2023. So they're not allowed to they're not permitted to enroll new students beginning with the fall 23 semester, but seniors scheduled to graduate at the end of the fall term may continue to complete their degrees on schedule. That's what they said.
So, hey, this is what they're saying, basically. Hey, bro, I'm going to give you your degree, but that shit, this don't mean nothing. You know what I mean?
Hey, y'all can stick around and get your degree from this school, but we're literally not going to allow anybody else to get degrees from this school.
The day after y'all done,
you might as well tear it up.
It's as good as the toilet paper.
You're going to wipe
No, that's not. I'm not you know what I mean.
No, I know.
That's sad. People are losing opportunities and
it is
education.
And not even just the football side of things, because this also means one of the big things here. It says, quote, immediately ending all athletic and extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
Even the intramural boys are done for, over with.
That's it, man.
But on a serious note, that sucks for their football team, because now you have all these kids that, guys, tomorrow is August 1st, and they have nowhere to play football potentially. So now you're gonna have a ton of guys.
But they had to have some sort of they're not oblivious.
It was an emergency meeting.
I know, but they ain't just say, hey, emergency meeting, and then 30 minutes later, the school's over. No, there's no way.
I don't know, dude.
It had to be funding. It had to be everything leading up to it. They had to have known at least something.
But I don't know if it was to the severity where they knew that this potentially was going to happen, because you look at their 2023, they have a full 2023 schedule, and they're in a football conference, all these things. There was no infrastructure or anything behind that.
What happened?
What gets you to that point?
Funding, bro. It's got to be funding.
But it was...
Unless they had a bunch of fraudulent motherfuckers teaching. What else could it be? They just wrap this shit up.
What? The university has the right to appeal the commission's decision by submitting a written notice within 10 days. I'm going to assume that probably won't happen considering the vote was unanimous. It's not like they're going to win over the mind of one or two people on that board and be like, okay, we're back in business, guys. You can get those degrees back out.
Just surreal.
Kind of wild. It really, like I said, it does suck for the football team. Now, granted, fellas, no knock to the old Alderson Broaddus football team. They were 0-11 in 2022. They remember the MEC in Division II. They did not have the best year past year.
I got an answer for you.
As far as why this happened.
College Football Network just posted it.
He did. Shout out Michael.
Financial issues. They owed... They were unable to pay their utilities, and they owed $776,000 in utilities.
Yeah. Damn. 700 what?
Over $700,000 in utilities.
So when I said it's got to be financial, you guys are like, no.
You had guys walking out the classroom like, hey, get the light. Hey, we can't leave that shit on.
They probably didn't have no damn lights.
If you guys in the lecture hall and everyone, tomorrow's lecture will be BYOC. Bring your own candle for lecture. We're actually going to be busting a hole in the ceiling for a skylight because we cannot afford to keep these overheads on anymore.
It's they're in West Virginia. They have those like old like coal miner hats that just have the candle in it. Not even like an LED light or anything.
Foul as hell for this.
You guys are, bro.
700,000? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, dude.
So good job, Cade.
Yeah, Cade, you really got to the bottom of it.
I did.
Investigative journalism.
We were damn near for to pull like a we thought there was like a freaking heist going on at Ottomson's Baldwin. What is it called again?
Alderson Broaddus.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Sounds like a Harry Potter character, dude.
Doesn't really matter what you call him now.
He's a... God!
I mean, the school doesn't exist.
Tell that to the seniors getting their degrees this winter, Trev. Tell that to them. T's and P's to all of the products of Alderson Broaddus over there in West Virginia. This was supposed to be their 2023 schedule, and I bring this up because now you have all these teams, especially in conference, that need to find new opponents.
They got Expelliarmus. I'm done. Oh, it's getting hot here, dude.
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh.
Okay, yeah, I'm done.
Looking at this schedule, you start with an out-of-conference game, a PSAC crossover, California University of Pennsylvania, and then you get into the MEC schedule with Glenville State. You got teams like West Virginia Wesleyan, Frostburg State, Fairmont State, Charleston, West Virginia State, Wheeling, West Liberty, UNC Pembroke, Notre Dame College. I mean, it's a pretty big conference. I didn't realize how large that conference was, to be honest with you. So really one out-of-conference game, that being California, PA. So they're obviously going to have to schedule a new week one. But then you get into this, and this is something I want to talk about with you guys because I'm assuming these opponents in the MEC, because there's only one other team outside of their conference that their schedule has been disrupted. So I'm assuming that all these other teams just have to double up. Like the GLIAC has already done for different reasonings. The GLIAC did that, but I'm assuming these teams will end up doubling up. Is that the most obvious course of action?
I mean, probably, because I don't think there's going to be any other schools that need it. Not very many schools.
Unless someone's looking for a bye week game still.
Yeah.
Very true, which happens. And that does happen.
But there's not going to be very many teams at all that still need games. Like it's
No, most likely not.
We're almost to camp already. Like the season's about to start.
Yeah. But I would not be surprised. That would make the most sense. It'll be interesting to see how they determine what teams play who.
For sure.
I guess, right? Because obviously it'd be doubling up. And that's like, when we did that in the GLIAC, you're like, who the hell's going to double up Ferris and GV? Like, I feel bad for those poor souls.
Each other?
Yeah, right? Well, that didn't happen. That would have been really fun to get two anchor bones. But they also, those games end up being out-of-conference games because those aren't technically, conference bouts because you can't, it would offset the standings. Yeah. Exactly. So, interesting stuff, boys. Let's finish it off with some good football guy of the week stuff, huh?
Grab mine first.
Cade, Trevor, can you can you put Cade's in the doc while we talk? Because I gotta get you on this damn Google Doc.
Why can't you just pull up on Twitter?
Oh, actually, did you send it to you sent it to D1 Rejects?
No.
We'll send it to D1 Rejects, then I can pull it up.
I don't have my phone, bro.
God, you're helpless. You know that? My gosh.
Provided some good laughs at least.
I will send it over.
You know what? That's the thing. It's really not that. It's not like there's nothing like. It's not like.
I'm gonna send it over. So don't even finish that sentence. You sent it to me on my personal.
Yep.
Don't do that.
Oh, I saw the.
I watched the whole interview today.
I saw the Pat McAfee, Larry Nassar tweet, and I thought that was going to be your submission for just a split second, and I was about to just scold you on the podcast. That was absurd, by the way. I mean, we can touch on that. Like,
I mean,
I'm a big Pat McAfee guy, but there are just some times where you like, why do you say these outlandish things?
It wasn't funny. Like it
was dumb.
It'd be one thing if in the given context, like somehow, some way you could find humor in, because that's possible. Don't get me wrong. That was not the time.
Not at all. I mean, I don't think it ever is.
No, most likely not.
Just in a case like that. And I think McAfee, like, he's not the guy to do that.
No,
you know what I mean? Like he really does like probably mean it in like.
But why?
Yeah.
You should have just apologized and deleted it.
Dumb.
I will start us off on our football guy of the week, fellas. This right here is University of Oshkosh head coach Peter Jennings. Started the 2023 coaches retreat off right, he says, ripping lips and talking ball, excuse me. Doesn't get much better than that at UWO football. Taking balls. Shut your ass up. Shout out to Coach Jennings, man. That's a decent little fish. But Coach, we ain't gonna act like we know you're holding that thing hella close to the camera.
We know the angles.
Yeah,
that's a nice bass, though.
It's a nice little bass. And you know what, guys? If you do remember,
that's a nice
we just talked about the Titans and their newest recruiting tactic. You guys remember talking about that?
Yeah.
They brought them out on the pontoon boats. Is this? We gotta know. Coach,
imagine.
Is this the same pontoon boat you're fishing off of that we're bringing the recruits on? Because if you are, why are we not doing a photo shoot with the recruits catching fish in a full uniform?
Might as well.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. So that's a total football guy move.
For sure.
Out there.
Respect.
Ripping lips, talking ball with the boys. Trevor, I'll pull up. We got yours next. This is a good one from Trevor. I like this pick. Him and I had talked about this before here.
To an extent.
When it does want to load.
Yeah, I picked.
Talk about this guy.
John Michi, because he has been cleared to play, obviously, as you can see from the video, after beating leukemia.
He beat leukemia, and whoever that sorry-ass DB was, he beat his ass, too.
He is looking very good. Look at this.
Whoa!
Oh, he's not even in the screen anymore. He's just gone.
He does look good,
he's
though,
gonna
man.
Be good, dude.
Yeah, he looks solid.
He'll be a good wide receiver 3.
For a team that needs him to be, too. I mean, if you know what I mean, if we're being honest. Like, they could really...
Won't he be their wide receiver 1?
No, dude. John Michi's not wide receiver 1.
Who is?
Who is?
I don't know, but if it's him, they're in trouble.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they need him to potentially be that guy.
I think he is their guy right now.
I can't tell you someone who's ahead of him. That just me, not like I know a pretty limited roster knowledge.
Is Brandon Cook still on their team?
Oh, maybe.
That could be it. But definitely a great pick. I mean, the dude, like, this video ain't sped up. Dude's feet are crazy. He let that DB dust it.
It's tough.
He also is not wearing, like...
They have Robert Woods.
Okay.
He sucks, too.
And Nico Collins. Those are their 3 starters. But,
yeah, the Texans are in trouble, like I said.
All right, Cade. Should we listen to the clip?
Yeah. Let me give a little background first, though. So PMT, obviously they're
Ryan Dable.
Pardon my take, big football, Barstool Big Cat, and PMT commentator. They started off their grit week this week, and no better person to start it off with Dan the fucking man Campbell.
Yeah, you were practicing that one, weren't you?
Yep. Listen.
All right, we'll go ahead and watch the clip.
Great year last year. You coached with him in Miami. He told a story that when you were interviewing for the tight end coaching job, you spent half the interview out of breath because you were smashing tables and chairs. True or false?
All right. True, I was out of breath. True, I used chairs.
I used chairs.
I don't know how much
I used some chairs.
I don't know if I was smashing, the chairs into the walls and there was holes everywhere. I think he exaggerated on that, but yeah, okay. Look, most of it was true. All right, most of it was true.
Passionate, yeah.
And Tony Sperano was the head coach. God rest his soul. He had told Dayball, "Hey man, I got a guy. I want you to just interview him." And man, I was fresh out of playing.
Right.
I had just really retired the year before, and then I was on staff with Tony as a kind of assistant O-line coach, and so that next year, 2011, he gets the job, and so he asked him, "Hey, man, why don't you let him interview?" Well, I didn't have the packet. I didn't have all these. I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to interview as a coach. So all I know is I'm just going to go in there and go through it. This is like I was a player. All right, here's the technique. Here's the chair. Here's how I'm going to do it. Here's the play. And then running routes, I'm running around the table. I'm up at the top. So I just demoed everything. I just demoed the whole thing. And then he was, and so I could tell he was trying to keep from laughing. And of course, I'm dripping with sweat. Yes, I'm out of breath, And then he would throw, all right, what happens if back that chair up 10 yards? Now, how do you do it? Yes, it was awesome.
So, yeah,
I guess, it'll be interesting to see, what's the over-under on how many times Dan Campbell is one of our nominations.
It might be weekly.
Just we make a separate category for just the Dan Campbell moment of the week.
Bro, there was a video of him packing the fattest lip.
Dude, how did we miss that?
Bro, oh my God. That is literally the football guy of the year clip. Dan Campbell packing lip.
Dan Campbell packing lip? Is that what I should search for?
Yes, I'm serious.
Oh,
Look
sure
up Dan Campbell packing lip. It'll pop right up, dude. We got to see it. Damn it.
That was ridiculous. How did none of us pick that? Because we all saw it. There's no way that any of us missed that. We absolutely saw that.
Wait, no, this isn't it. This isn't it.
That is not the clip we're looking for.
Go to latest.
I'll find it, though. Hold on.
Go to latest, yeah.
Yeah. But that clip, I know exactly what you're talking about. That was hilarious. But we might, literally, it might be a weekly thing where we have our selections for the football guy of the week, and then we just have Dan Campbell.
Yeah, we should. The Dan Campbell.
Yeah, the Dan Campbell football.
Let's rename it to the Dan Campbell
football guy of the week.
Football guy of the week.
Dan Campbell football guy of the week. I like that. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna do my best though to try and find this before we stop this because we got nothing else. Because that clip is so funny. Damn it, dude. Where was that at? We already saw that one with the down ups. Was pretty good.
Right there.
That's
it. Look at this.
Let me hold on. Let me take the audio off this. This is the clip that we're talking about right here, and they're talking on some what looks like this is on NFL Live,
ESPN,
yeah, something. And dude goes back in for
it's
more.
Like a gumball.
Oh my goodness! Right back in the pocket.
Best thing about the
get
video,
back to coaching ball.
The best thing about the video is his shirt, anti-fragile.
Is that what it says on there?
Anti-fragile.
Oh, dude.
So sick. It just has a meanest lip in, dude.
That literally, it's his whole bottom lip. There's no room for anything else. There's Ben Johnson.
Damn near not even air.
Holy shit! Look at the dude next to. You see the dude in the blue hoodie next to him? Just he was kind of watching him. He's like, damn.
Get a little sprinkle and you're good.
What a guy.
What a dude.
All right, from this week forward, then it's the Dan Campbell football guy of the week. That's our unofficial.
He basically made it, so
he did.
He should.
Almost invented it. No, football's been around for too long, but he brought it back. How about that? He brought it back.
Yeah, that's fair.
We've got some more football guys joining us on Friday's episodes, but be sure to stay tuned for that. But otherwise, thank you, fellas. It's been a great episode.
Yes, sir.